What were the most important episodes from this season? Pegging that? Impossible, basically, because there's so much to unwind and finish off within space. What isn't important for the season would be easier. It brings back old characters, it fixes characters, we got a galaxy-ending story, torn between good and evil, a weird sixth ranger, the end of Zordon, the Psycho Rangers. The season is basically brimming with so much junk. Every other episode I'm going, this one's good, that one's good. If I didn't have a 10 limit, I end up picking 30 episodes with very few that I completely hated. Thanks goes to Nolan Unino for the suggestion. If you have an idea or topic you'd like me to cover, leave a comment below. I might use it in the final 5 videos.
The Delta Discovery.
A problem I always had with the series is the chunky nature of some of the Megazord reveals. Many times they just pop up out of nowhere. Dragonzord, oh yeah, Green Ranger has a Zord. Ultra Zord gets unlocked for some reason facing your fears. When you don't have that hook, it feels unearned. The Delta Megazord was one of my favorites. The whole Zordon building stuff in secret, this being one of the few times the space angle comes into play, plus when Andros goofed up and almost got it blown up, space was good with using the tension done in Mega Ranger. These characters in Mega Ranger didn't always know what they were doing, so mapping that onto them being unfamiliar with what Zordon left them was a stroke of genius. This is what PR seasons were lacking for quite some time. Even though Andros is an alien and should know things a lot better than just the Earth team, even he fouls up, especially with his emotions.
The Barillian Sting.
Power Rangers doing a horror movie. Gotta get the teamwork to stop, so why not turn the Rangers into bugs that serve Astronema? Nice joke, throw on them. It's probably one of Astronema's ways of showing her sense of humor. This one episode helped open up some explanations on how Astronema could have conquered all these planets. It's not stated in the episode, but fans can use it. I really liked it because it brought in that horror, getting turned into a freaky bug, plus losing your mind. If I was dealing with this, the worst thing you do to me is force me to listen to Dark Spectre being a part of them killing countless billions over the galaxy. That's horror. It also showed that Astronema was fine with stepping into more stronger tactics and getting rid of anyone blocking their way.
TJ's identity crisis.
What made Space so good was the 180 fix on the characters. With Turbo, the characters were all but real. The writers stopped caring to write for them, only writing for the Sentai footage. Space, on the other hand, had Sentai footage that was mostly unable to be used, so they went back and used that space to flesh out each of them. It also helped that the Andros mystery drove more character interaction for them, which comes with this episode. TJ was the original team leader. He was the Red Ranger, and that was thrown away from new hotness, to quote Agent J. What can you do for TJ to still show us why he was chosen by Tommy to replace him? What made him that step higher? Even with his memory shot, he was able to rely on his instincts and help out. Dealing with being attacked by all the weird stuff, he never gave up. So even with his memory gone, TJ would still be worthy of being a Ranger.
Rangers Gone Psycho.
Practically every season has a change in the villains. They get replaced, upgraded, improved, just to give that push for the second half. Turbo didn't get up there when it came to this. It improved, but nothing that made you go, ooh. Space not only had a better villain, but the secondary villains, even when they were only lasted for 5 or so episodes, blew it out of the water. Space was the bottle, Astronema was the cap, the Cycles are the lightning. Basically what they did was use the Green Ranger story idea and improved on it. By creating an entire team of evil Rangers, they knew their moves, how they thought, what their weaknesses were, took advantage of them, unable to go into the public. Every basic thing the Rangers did was stopped. So they had to go in hiding and come up with new ways in dealing with this problem. It pushed the team to their limits, doing new strategies like switching their suit colors, Zhane taking a 6th Psycho Ranger. This could have easily been the season finale of the show if it weren't for the whole Dark Spectre Zordon stuff. Mega Ranger gets a lot of flack for being all over the place, but they came up with some very interesting monsters that help Power Rangers get out of their rut.
5 of a kind.
I always like it when the Rangers break some rules. How do you counteract villains that know your moves? Well, stop being your set color that acts like a target from 100 miles away. Some things on PR are just done. Like, how do you pick what color you are? Why can't the Rangers change color? When TJ came up with the idea of changing all their suits to blue, they gave us more questions, but also reminded us why TJ is second in command. Confuse the villains just like they confuse you. Big old game of chess. From this point, the Rangers started going on the offensive and brought in new tactics.
The enemy within.
It was the turning point of the Cycle arc. The Mega Winger was taken over by Cycle Yellow, the Rangers were almost killed by them, and Ecliptor was done with the Cycles disobeying Astronema's orders. This was the point where if the Cycles would win out and replace Astronema, or them starting to fall, with the Rangers stuck as the punching bags to both sides. They barely made it out of this one. It took the Cycle's own energy to get rid of them once and for all, with the series falling down the rabbit hole of betrayals everywhere. This is why if you ever wanted to join an evil organization that takes over planets, you don't do it. All they do is betray each other every which way. I'd be looking over my shoulder every 2 minutes. Don't ever join them in the PR universe.
Zhane's destiny.
Why didn't Super Mega Force work when they had a template ready to copy with the added benefit of nostalgia goggles? Because they didn't care what was happening around Earth. That's why In Space works the way it works. Yeah, they had Orion, but they didn't do anything past his intro. Space had Andros, Corone, then followed by Zhane. So each turn of an episode, we got more story about KO-35 and what the hellish fights the various planets went through. Coming down to this story where we find people from KO survived and formed a resistance force. I mean, I hate that Zhane left because of this story, but it opened up the world and future payoffs that were needed in later episodes. In Space felt like a real, genuine war, while Megaforce kept saying it was a war, but did it really feel like it? Go back to Lost Galaxy. Was there anything different from Trakeena's forces to Prince Vikar's? Not really. So how do you make this feel bigger? You add other sides and explore their problems, linking it up to our heroes. Even though Zhane didn't get much to do, his contributions in episodes like this one make him bigger. Can't be any more heroic than helping your people in fighting back.
Always a chance.
This is one of the leftover threads from last season. Carlos always had some doubts and personal issues with being a team player. Over the year, Carlos slowly became a man that you could count on, until Amasa used Cassie as a shield. This brought back some of his problems to the surface. Was he good enough to be a Power Ranger when he let a simple trick injure one of his friends? Now, Cassie never took anything personal from this. She understood it was a cheap move and not his fault, but it casted doubt on Carlos. Maybe internally he still had issues that he couldn't live up to Adam. Filling Adam's shoes was a big order. If you were chosen by Adam or any of the Rangers to be their replacements, well, how would you react? I would definitely be terrified, but at the same time honored, because Adam saw the value of what Carlos brought, which is why he became his teacher again, to remind him. Sometimes being a hero for the planet will have huge risks. Day in and day out, you are deciding who lives and who dies. Things happen that are out of your control. But Adam knows Carlos is always doing the best as he can. He just needed a reminder on what hero was.
Astronema thinks twice.
Why I loved Corone's arc so much was for this episode. I've always complained that it was too easy for people to be redeemed. Tommy was freed of the spell, but the entire team was like, yeah, we want you to join. No one had gripes. Once Astronema found out she was Andros' lost sister, she got confused. She was debating on what to do. It wasn't as simple as turning off an off switch. Regardless of what happened to her, from her point of view, she was raised by Ecliptor to fulfill a task. She didn't see it as wrong, but now she finds out she was a part of KO-35. She got rid of her people and doesn't know what to do, because Ecliptor is a father figure but had no problem taking her from her family. So what is right, what is wrong? She didn't understand what way was what anymore. This makes characters more rich, actually human. You'd be torn on how you feel. Her life was basically a lie. So why should she trust anyone again? That struggle is what makes her human. So when she makes her choice, you knew she was good at heart and nothing could turn her forever.
Countdown to Destruction Part 2.
Yes, this would have to be the #1 episode for obvious reasons. It's the death of Zordon, it's the closure of the original run, this is the turning point for both Andros and Corone. People tend to overlook Andros here. Corone is super important at this point, but Andros' journey was important to the whole galaxy basically. He started off as this cold person who lost his people, almost lost his friend, so he shut down and stopped trusting. It took Earth, new friends, old friends, and his sister to reach this most important decision in the galaxy. If Andros hadn't broken out of his shell, recapturing his soul, he wouldn't have understood why Zordon wanted to die, because above everything, Zordon cares about the universe. Personal journey was the core of Power Rangers in Space, from Andros and Karone to Justin and Bulk and Skull. Space not only ended the Zordon era on a great note, it made up what was lost from the previous years, the personal journey. I want to thank Mega Ranger. Just because a Super Sentai is different than what traditionally is done in America doesn't mean it shouldn't be used, because look at what you can do. When writers dig deep and aren't chained to staying safe, everything has risks. But I still think the reward of the series turning good outweighs in just wasting away the footage in a corner. I mean this to all seasons, including Sentais that were skipped. Tokyuger and Zyuohger, they are weird, I didn't care for them, but with talent and additional stuff they could bring to the seasons, making them work with PR, I'd give them that doubt. Whatever way you feel about Space, oh, it's all hype, it's always Space, they did it. They pushed through Turbo screw-ups. They stayed on budget and were able to wrap up the series in a nice bow. Even if the series had ended here, I would have been satisfied with this ending. But what do you think about Space? What were your favorite episodes? New episodes Mondays? Next week, my favorite season finales. If you like my content, consider leaving a like and subscribing. Due to fair use abuses from the various companies, I no longer feature footage from the various episodes. Thank you for understanding. See you in the next video.